This video is probably going to rub some people the wrong way, but I've been asked about it a million times, and it's finally time I talked about it. Let's talk about gaming chairs, why they suck, or at least why a lot of people think they suck, why people are buying them anyway, and what are my thoughts on them, because that's what people keep asking for. Let's go. So you can't really see them, but behind me I have two gaming chairs, and I have one off to the side off frame here from three different companies. So 3 chairs, 3 different companies. One of them I've had for about 9 months, but my wife has primarily used it, or it's gone in secondary rooms where it doesn't get a whole lot of use. And then these two I've had for about a month now, trying to get some use out of and trying to navigate this field, because gaming chairs have been a kind of controversial thing since the DX Racer takeover when they became super popular, and suddenly everybody has gaming chairs, and it's pretty transparent as to why. And I've actually worked at a retailer where my job was frequently to build chairs and sell chairs, even though that wasn't supposed to be my job. I worked at Staples. I worked in the Easy Tech department doing computer repair and things like that. However, I ended up having to do a whole lot involving chairs, and it was very amusing seeing, 22-year-old Epos who's scrawny as hell trying to lift 80-pound chairs off the top shelf on the skinny little ladder. I had a policy that unless customers were down there, I wasn't going to hurt myself for the chair. If I wasn't able to hold it, the chair was going off the ladder. Thankfully, that never really happened. But that's beside the point. I have a lot of experience building chairs, testing a whole lot, and I feel like very few people actually take the time to figure out the office chair or computer chair or gaming chair market or space, or what is actually important for you. And it's kind of sad, because of all the things you invest in your setup, your lights, your camera, your microphone, your monitors, your keyboard, your mouse, people spend so much money on things that provide minimal actual benefit. It's just aesthetics or, things like that. The chair is arguably the most important. You spend all of your time sitting in your chair. Your physical human body is what is placed in the chair, and your body is what will have lasting damage or impacts if you don't have a good chair. But so many people either just buy super cheap chairs and don't care and just assume that they're all bad, or jump straight into the gaming chair market. It's like they use like a $20 crappy office chair for years and years, and then they invest $500 in a gaming chair, and they don't really know any better, so it sounds like it's good, or it feels like it's good because that's just all that they've had, which is fine to a degree. Like, I'm not like going to mock people for their lack of experience by any stretch, but I do think it's important to kind of figure this out more, because there's a lot more to the chair market. And everyone just assumes gaming chairs are trash, they suck, they're just gimmicks, they're really bad. But what they actually are a really good chair for a specific population marketed to everyone. And that's a little weird. So I have 3 chairs here, as I mentioned. One is the Nitro Concepts S300, which it costs roughly $280. I've got the eWin Flash XL chair, which costs about $450. And then we have the Gamdias Achilles M1L, which costs about $328, unless you're looking on Newegg, at which point it costs like $600, and I'm really not sure why. So you can see that there's significant price differences between these chairs. However, they're all pretty much built the same. They come with the same stuff, and they all look exactly the same, just like every other gaming chair. And that's because the gaming chair market took a very specific style of chair, which is the racing chair or the bucket seat car-like chair, and decided to market it for everyone because they're kind of the most durable, they're going to last the longest, which is important to note for sure. But that doesn't mean that they're built for everyone, because we all have different body types and body shapes and what our backs need, our spine. I think my cat just fell onto the garbage can. Oh, my cat's just got into a little tuffle over who could sit in the window. Anyway, our spines, our very important set of bones that supports our body, all need to be supported in specific ways, and not everyone's as conducive to the racing style chair. And it's a mess. So I want to cover the options I have here first before I pose what the alternatives should be, I guess. I have the Nitro Concepts, the eWin, and the Gamdias chair. And this is kind of a redemption arc for Gamdias, because I had some issues with their computer case and some little polishing details with their CPU cooler. But once again, there's still some little polishing touches that just seem to be very much missing from Gamdias's product, which is really confusing. So let's start with the Nitro Concepts. It's the one I've had the longest. It is solid black. They sent me the solid black stealth one, and it is the only one that I have that is actual fabric based. It is a soft, fabric instead of the leather or pleather that the other chairs are made of. My cats love it as a result because they just love sitting in fabric chairs. And so you're going to see it's covered in cat hair because I've had it since before I moved, and nothing I can really do about that. Sorry. The elbow pads on it are okay. So this wasn't in my notes, but I actually found in my saved video files, I have 2 photos here from February 2018 when I first started testing the Nitro Concepts chair that I took because my elbows and, lower arms here were actually really red and bruised feeling from the Nitro Concepts chair as well. I'll address this in a little bit, but I just mentioned in my original take that the elbow pads were all right. I was wrong. Nothing during the installation stood out to me as super surprising. It is actually the shortest chair for me out of all of these lineups. And of course they have, each company has a bajillion different variations on the model depending on your height and weight. And each of these companies chose one based on my listed, height and weight. So be it. But this is the shortest one in terms of the actual backrest up to my head, which means that my head without the neck pillow is resting on the hard plastic if I lean back, which is very uncomfortable. And that means that the neck pillow is in a really awkward spot. However, this makes it a much better height and size for my wife, who is significantly shorter than I am. And it makes it the perfect height for her feet to touch the ground and for her head to rest. She still doesn't like the plasticky bits and she still can't use the neck pillow very much. But overall, it's more fit for her size. However, of the bunch that I have reviewed, it does have the weakest wheels in terms of they're very small and they're kind of meh. And then the actual armrests that adjust forward and backwards are super loose. There's not like a latch for them to move forward and backward. And so we're constantly, whenever we pull it or whatever, they're changing positions and it makes a really obnoxious sound as it's going through the little clanks that it does to lock into place. And that part's really obnoxious. But otherwise, it's been a pretty solid chair. It stood up to the test of cats. We haven't had any major issues with it. And it is okay, decently comfortable if you're willing to fit in that type of chair, which will also depend on your sitting, and we'll talk about that in a minute. You can kind of tell that the eWin Flash XL, which is this blue one right here, is the most expensive. It feels like the most premium made. It just feels like it has that extra bit of polish. It's also the biggest of the ones that I have. It is very wide and, provides a lot more room for a bigger person to sit in compared to the other chairs that I have that are more, built for slender frames, even if the style of chair isn't built for that. It's wider, it bends away from the body, it gives you a lot more room if you're a lazy sitter. If you spend a lot of time, slouched over or leaning back or with your legs up in the chair while you're gaming, which is what a lot of people do, it gives you a lot of room for that. However, the neck pillow is actually decent. However, the elbow pads are the worst out of any chair that I have ever used. They are so bad that even after the first day and every subsequent day where I used the chair for the whole day, resting my elbows on it, my elbows felt like they were super bruised. Like to the extent that whenever I was driving in my car, where I'm resting my weight on my elbows on the side of the car door or on the armrest in the car, it hurt. It physically hurt because my elbows felt bruised from using the chair all day. You don't really notice it so much while you're using it because you're just putting your weight down and unless you hit it real hard, you notice that it's not super soft. It doesn't have a whole lot of give, but it doesn't necessarily hurt right then. But then whenever you go, you have a break from it and you go and you put your weight on your elbow somewhere else, it feels like they're bruised. I don't understand how you can have such an expensive chair and have such horrible elbow pads, especially since the main office chair that I use, which only costs like $120, has the best armrest that I have ever used out of any chair. And they even survive like cat scratches and stuff. So if this chair can do it, there's no reason a $500 or $450 chair can't have more competent elbow pads. Now, while it has the worst armrests or elbow pads out of the bunch, it has the absolute best wheels out of any chair that I have ever used. They are massive wheels. They are very easy to roll. They roll over top of everything. Even my desk mat, or my chair mat, which is kind of crumbling and falling apart now, it is some of the best in that regard. And I kind of want to see if I can pull them off and put them on another chair or something like that, because they are that good. Now, I do need the pillows in order to sit in it comfortably for my size. I need the neck pillow back here kind of on my lower head, and if I ever need support there, and then I absolutely need the lumbar pillow, which I do need on the Nitro Concepts chair as well, but I need it to support my back. I like sitting up, especially since I work at my desk 12 to 18 hours a day. I want to be sitting up with my arms even with the desk so I can use my mouse and keyboard and have my back supported, not my back like bending outward. And so I like a lot of lumbar support, but not too much, enough that makes my back sit ergonomically safe. Ergonomics are a real thing. They're very important to your bodily health. Damaging and wearing out your back over time can cause significant issues for your life for the rest of your life, and it's very hard to recover from that. And so you need back support. And so I need that pillow there because the chair literally arches away like scoliosis style away from your body, which again is super conducive for lazy, comfortable, sit back game sitting, but not for long-term use, which is kind of the catch-22 of gaming chairs, is they want to be comfortable for people who want to sit lazily and sit in all these weird positions while they're gaming. But if you're designing something for long gaming sessions, you need something that's going to support your body in a healthy way for long-term use. The two ideas don't collide very well. And this one is almost a little too tall at minimum height. Like I lowered the seat as far as it can go, and I just barely have enough room for my feet to touch the ground for my height on it. So that was a little concerning. All of these chairs, by the way, they lean completely back, and you can lean back, and I never know anyone who wants to do that, and it feels a little unnerving or uncomfortable in that regard. But that's always an option there. You can lean it back. You can customize the angle of the chair. For a lot of these, especially if I'm not using pillows to actually get like an angle I want, I pretty much have to angle it like inward, which is really stupid. But they all do that, and this one does it fine. The only concern I have specifically with the Ewin chair is if I leaned too far forward, like I'm leaning over to pick something up or whatever, it's like the weight would shift and the wheels are so big that the chair can start to roll out from under me. This isn't a problem if you lean the seat back and are laying back on it because of the weight balance, but leaning forward, the chair can come out from under you if you have the right angle and leverage, which is kind of concerning. But otherwise, the leather is super premium. It feels really nice. Like I mentioned at the start, like this feels like the most premium made. It is made of really high quality materials. It was in the best condition out of all of these chairs, and I really feel like it'll last a long time. And so you are getting that for your extra money. I just really wish they wouldn't have skimped on the arm pads or arm rests, because that just seems really bizarre. Lastly, we have the Gamdias Achilles M1L, and they have a whole bunch of different ones again. This one is thinner. It's more, the back itself is flatter, and it more fits around my more slender frame, better, but it is still, a racing style chair. It is the most comfortable of the three chairs without pillows for upright sitting because it has a more flat back. Now, it doesn't have actual lumbar poking out bit for your back, so I still feel like I'm kind of slouching into it, but if you are trying to use it for that, it feels the most comfortable. However, if I want that extra lumbar support, the back pillow that they have for it is freaking massive. It is the biggest back pillow out of any of the chairs, and it is way too big for me to ever use. Like, it sticks out so much, like I'd just be like outstretched, pointed in the wrong angle because that pillow is way too freaking big. I have no clue who thought that was a good idea. I would have to use the actual neck pillow as my back pillow to get anywhere closer to the normal back pillows on the other chair options. That was a little weird. The chair itself, instead of having the way the back attaches to the base of the chair, instead of having the brackets on the side with the little plastic covers that can get beat up and stuff like that, the bracket actually inserts into the back of the chair. That way you just have the seamless kind of fabric-y bit on the outside, which took a lot, it was a little bit harder to install, but the end result is actually really cool. It does have comfier armrests or elbow pads than the Ewin chair. I haven't had any issues with those. However, the neck pillow doesn't actually have a latch to go into the holes. Like, all of these chairs have these little plastic cutout holes where the back pillow straps in and the neck pillow is supposed to strap in towards the top of the chair. And the neck pillow they include doesn't have a latching mechanism. It's one seamless band, and so you just have to like slide it over the top. Now for me, this actually puts the neck pillow kind of in a almost more, better, almost perfect like position for my head personally, but for other heights, that might be a concern. And it seems really bizarre that it didn't work that way. And then the actual levers for raising and lowering and locking the chair into place don't really want to work for me. Like, they're very hard to get to work. They're super finicky. They just don't want to squeeze up or whatever. It's not like that they're hard to push. It's just when I push them up, nothing happens sometimes. It's a little weird. And then, as I mentioned, once again, with the weird polishing touches, my chair looked like it was beat up and some of it was really dirty. Like, there are scuff marks on the plastic bit at the top of the headrest. There's a cut in the bottom part of the leather, which isn't enough to like damage it or make it wear out over time, but it's there. A lot of the metal was really scuffed up and just dirty and filthy. Like, my hands were filthy after building it. I had to wipe it off. Really weird. It was just weird. And as far as I can tell, it was brand new. Like, I usually just get retail samples for this stuff. I didn't see any reason to believe otherwise here. Everything was wrapped carefully. These scuff marks weren't at like points where stuff hit each other in the boxes. It was at points where nothing was touching. Like, clearly this came from the factory this way. I'm just not sure why. A little bit weird. And then this chair specifically has something unique over the other ones in that the little plasticky bit at the base of the head rest has RGB lighting in it. And then it has a little USB cable that runs down the back and a little pouch for you to stick a battery bank. It does not come with a battery bank, which seems a little silly, but you can stick a battery bank in there. And then you can also connect it to their RGB software, which I did not mess with because I do not like their software at all personally. And you can set it up to do a different lighting effect and then plug it back into the battery bank. Do not leave that plugged into your computer because you will ruin your computer's USB ports when you kick that chair away and it yanks out of your computer. But it does have a little pouch for a battery bank. This is, of course, a really silly feature because you can't see it yourself. And if we're talking like stream branding, no one can really see it either because it's going to be behind your head or behind the pillow. So it's only shining out the back. Really silly, really gimmicky, but as far as I can tell, it doesn't actually add any more to the cost necessarily, as you know, compared to other chairs. So it doesn't really hurt anyone because you don't see it if it's not on, and it's just an extra flare option if you want it. So whatever. A big complaint I have with all of these chairs, of course, is that they have their branding everywhere. And even a lot of their social strategies are like, hey, make sure you're posting pictures with the chair and say, yay, chair, because that's how their marketing works. It's just having a bunch of streamers take pictures with the chairs or show it in their streams and convince everyone to buy them. And that's just ridiculous. When I buy a chair or a product to use in my office, in my workspace, it's not because of the brand in most cases. I'm not there to like advertise their brand name in the same spot as every other chair's brand names because they all use the same source ODM for the chairs. It just drives me nuts, the marketing involved with that. Like, I don't want that there. Remove it. I do like that some of the companies, I believe it's Maxnomic, that Linus Media Group works with, like they have their own custom embroidering on there and stuff like that, but I think it's a tad ridiculous. So let's talk comfort and body types for a sec. I realize this video is running pretty long, but I'm reviewing 3 products at once and I really want to talk about it. So as I mentioned repeatedly with each of these chairs, each chair pretty much moves away from your body to allow for you to sit however you want with regards to shimmying your body up to get all comfy and crouched over for long gaming sessions. This actually stems from, historically, people just not knowing how to sit properly and getting proper posture. And posture is something I'm terrible at overall, but it's something that if you're spending half of your day or, streamers stream for like 8 hours a day, in some cases, multiple days a week, or if you spend all your time working at the computer, you need a chair that's going to keep your back healthy and yourself comfortable over time. And ergonomic studies are a real thing. People like to think that that's just like another marketing gimmick. And while there are plenty of products that fall into that, as with anything, it's still a real thing, and it's still something you need to consider, how your back needs to be supported and upright and things like that. And while sometimes it's cool to act like you're on a couch and, curl up while you're gaming and stuff like that, you don't want to sit like that all the time. And the issue that I find is these chairs don't really allow you to sit comfortably or, healthily any of the time. They just allow you to sit comfortably all the time. And that's what the back pillows are supposed to support. But I don't like it if a chair has to supplement literally supporting my back with the pillows, because with the ones like the Ewin was the most comfortable chair I was in, but at no point was my body really in contact with the back of the chair. I was only leveraging the pillows, at which point the chair is at fault. The chair is no longer supporting me properly, and it's not doing its job. I have to supplement that with pillows. Now, they provide the pillows, but that's still supplementing the chair being at fault, and you need to go to an office supply store or a chair-specific store if you have them and try out the different styles of chairs, even if you don't buy that exact one from that exact store, the different styles of chairs, and really evaluate what is working for you for something that could support you for the position you want to sit in for long-term use. Because for long sessions of editing or gaming or working at the computer, you don't want to kick your legs up in the seat and just be all blah, blah, blah. This is not healthy. You can't really work on the computer at this angle. That's not how it works. I have found the chairs that are most comfortable for me are mesh-based. This is what I'm sitting in now. This chair isn't really available anymore. It's still on Amazon. It cost me about $130. It's called the Elara Illusion, but it doesn't look like they're sold new anymore. But it cost me $130. I got it January 2016. My cats scratched the hell out of it. They've slept in it. It's covered in cat hair. The armrest gets scratched to all hell, but you can't really tell. The material just goes back together despite how sharp my cat's claws are. It's never fallen apart. It's held up really well. It's a little looser overall than when it started, and the mesh isn't as tight as it was, but it has a mesh. It has a back frame and then mesh that bends out to support my back in whatever seating position I want, and allows me to sit comfortably and healthily at the desk. And I noticed fairly quickly when I started using it how much better my sitting and my back and my shoulders felt working so long. Going to that chair from the crappy like $50 office chairs I was using prior to that. Now, my first experience with these gaming chairs was the Nitro Concepts chair, where I was trying to use it without the pillows and use it for my long work sessions, and by the end of the day, I could feel my spine aching. It hurt really freaking bad, and I was sort of on the bandwagon of, hey, these are really bad, but I like to keep my biases in check. I like to make sure I know what I'm actually talking about and things like that. And so I wanted to return to it before I reviewed them with a few different options. And admittedly, over the past few weeks of testing these, I've had some serious shoulder tenseness, pains, and cricks in my neck. Part of that has been related to my sleeping issues and finding the right pillows, but it all started when I started testing these chairs again, and it's because I was using not ideal postures the whole time I was using them. Comfort-wise, without pillows, I found the Gamdias Achilles M1 to be the most comfortable chair out of all of these by far. It was the absolute best. It's more slender designed to fit my frame, and it was the best experience I had overall. Now, when it comes to using the pillows and actually sitting in the less ideal postures, but, more comfy oriented for gaming and stuff, I had the best experience with the E1 chair there because it had the bigger frame and allowed me to really just kind of shimmy up in a corner, and it was the most comfortable in that regard, but I was rarely ever actually touching the chair, and I can't figure out how to really sit with the neck pillow because I feel like my head's constantly being angled forward and stuff, and so that was a little weird. And again, I mentioned the armrests on it like really, really hurt. So if I had to pick, if I had to build like a Franken chair, as my wife called it, of parts from all the different chairs, it would probably be the pillows from the Nitro Concepts chair, the back from the Ewin chair, the armrests from the Gamdias chair, and then the wheels from the Ewin chair as well. Or if I didn't want the pillows, then I'd use the Gamdias chair for everything except for the wheels, and then maybe take the armrests off of my current chair for all of these as well, because these are the most comfortable armrests in the world. But I don't know that I can recommend gaming chairs for everyone. Gaming chairs are built off of these larger racing style chairs, which are real office chairs that you actually, if you buy the official office chair versions, which are very not different for the most part, you're paying like $600 to $800. So the gaming chairs really did make it cheaper and more accessible to get these styles of chairs. But these chairs are built for people who are larger, who have larger frames, who are either really tall or really wide, who have larger frames or are more heavy set. And I have actually talked to quite a few people who are heavier in, size and weight, who love these chairs because even without the pillows, they completely fill them out and are completely supported. And these chairs are built to support so much weight and so much structure that they hold up really, really well, especially over time for these body types. But for skinnier or slender people like myself, and I'm not super slender at this point, but I'm 6'3" and 189 pounds. My wife is 5'6" or something and like 100 pounds. For people more our size, where we don't fill out a whole lot of anything, it doesn't really work out because we need direct applied support and not to just like allow our body to kind of fit to something. And it really doesn't work out. And there are a lot of different chairs available. Hopefully I'll get to take a look at some real ergonomic, like professional office options in the future. I haven't had any luck getting out of companies so far, but I really like the chair I have now, and I really want people, even if you end up with a gaming chair and you think it's fine, that's totally fine. I really recommend, especially the Ewin and the Gamdias are my favorites at the moment. I really recommend checking them out if that's an option and trying them for yourself, but do spend time evaluating and figuring out what works best for your body type. I just wanted to add a note into this video. I didn't want to make a big deal about it, and I had already rendered out the video trying to debate whether or not I wanted to mention it anymore at all. But if you've been following me on Twitter, a lot of people have been following my journey. I've had some serious neck pain and significant issues, as if I had an injury with my neck and left shoulder here, ever since trying out these chairs. And in some of my video clips, you may see me wearing this weird little thing. It's not like a vest or anything. It's called a neck buddy. You put it in the microwave and it applies moist heat to a sore muscle, specifically your neck or shoulders. And I finally went to the doctor because it got so bad that it was keeping me from sleeping well. And in fact, I had a few days where I would wake up and I could not lift my head off of the pillow. And it was a whole heck of a lot of pain just to like move my neck and move around and things like that. And I still have quite a bit of pain, but it's easing up and the main issue seems to starting to be relieved. I don't know 100% that this was caused by testing the gaming chairs, but I have two pieces of anecdotal evidence that kind of suggests maybe there's something a little unfortunate going on here. So I tested these chairs, the Nitro chair, although I had already tested that mainly last year and just was confirming my issues, the eWin racing chair, and then the Gamdias chair. I kept swapping them out and used them constantly in place of my normal production chair for about 2 to 3 weeks for game streaming, PC gaming, and computer work, editing, things like that. With the neck pillow on most of them, and on the eWin and the Nitro with the lumbar pillow, trying to recreate my normal sitting scenario as best as possible, and trying to find the best way to utilize the neck pillow for me. Even if I oversimplify things, I am always doing thorough testing on my end. And following those tests, I started waking up whenever I'd wake up in bed. And again, I could have slept crooked, but you'll see why I think it might not be later. I started having a sore neck. It started being like really tense, and it just felt like it was super tense and uncomfortable. I thought maybe I slept crooked, whatever. It was that way for a few days, and then it started lightening up, and then about, this progressed over about a week, and then at the end of that week, the super tenseness was for about a week and a half, and then over the next week, it started lightening up. I was still kind of sore. It felt like I had a crick in my neck, but I'm used to, I don't have the best posture or best lifestyle. I try to work on it and, make sure I'm sitting right and stuff, but I know that sitting all the time is always causing neck and back pains anyway. And then about 3 weeks in, that's when it started where I'd wake up and I'd either just be in so much pain, like I could not stay in bed, and I would regret, I would dread getting back into bed, or I started having those days where I could not lift up off the pillow. I had to like roll out of bed onto my hands and knees because I could not move my head around to do that. I finally scheduled a doctor's appointment and went there, and the doctor pretty much confirmed right away like I had some sort of massive knot in my neck muscles here, and I can still kind of feel it. It's still sort of there. They're still really tense. My concern with how things were feeling was that I had some sort of bulged disc or loose disc or pinched nerve. I know a lot of people have weird like neck problems like that are super serious, and it started getting bad enough that I thought it was super serious. Thankfully, I got lucky. It's not, it's not anything that serious, but they gave me a painkiller shot because of how serious like it seemed to them pain-wise. And then they prescribed me some muscle relaxers, which I'm taking at the moment, which helps, keep it from being as tense. And then immediately sent me that day off to a massage therapist or a massager person for a chair massage to kind of loosen this up and things like that. However, again, I would have just assumed I slept crooked and things like that. However, as soon as I finished testing all the chairs, my wife went back to using the Nitro chair, which she's been using for about 6 months now, and for the first time in all of her use, has put the pillow on it, the neck pillow on it. And over the past week, she started developing some neck pain on the exact same side. And she brought this up before I made a huge deal about my issues and before I went to the doctor and things like that. So that's a little suspicious to me in terms of repeating my claims that these are not ergonomically sound for most people. She was fine with it without the neck pillow, and so she's going to go back to using it without the neck pillow because that's probably what's causing it. But be careful with these if you get them. I didn't think anything was wrong until I woke up and things were really bad. So I really don't know what to say other than my original wording that having your back barely touching the chair and being bent between multiple pillows is just not a healthy way to sit. And I'm going to make sure she's not using the pillow anymore because that may be causing her to have developed the same issue, and that's not cool. And again, this could be pure coincidence. We both could have slept crooked. Something else could totally unrelated. It could just be our fault, whatever. I'm totally aware of that possibility. However, these are 2 points of anecdotal evidence that lead me to believe that that might be the cause. And I wanted to share with you guys because enough of you were concerned on Twitter about this that I didn't feel right not putting it in the video. Again, plenty of people use these without this problem. Plenty of people enjoy them, and I tried my best to cover that kind of perspective as best I could in this video, but I needed to talk about this. I'm going to end it here. This video was really long, but I felt it was a very important topic to discuss rather. If you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe for more tech education. Go check out each of these chairs via my product links in the video description. I already said subscribe, I think. Check us out on Reddit. We have a Patreon. We have a Discord server. Go check us out on there. Chat with us there. We can talk about more chairs. You can recommend more to me if you like. And I will see you in the next video.